The Renaissance is often described as a moment of brilliance, a sudden rise in art, a burst of creativity, a turning point in history. But that version is too sharp, too fast. What actually happened was slower, more subtle, a gradual shift in how people observed the world. Tonight, we're not going to rush through it. We're going to move through 100 quiet facts, each one small on its own, but together forming a slow portrait of change. No pressure to remember anything. Just listen. The Renaissance begins in Italy, but not all at once. It does not announce itself. It forms slowly, across cities and generations. One of the earliest centers is Florence, a city shaped by trade, banking, and quiet competition between powerful families. The change is not visible at first. Daily life continues normally. Markets open, work continues, conversations repeat, but attention begins to shift. People start looking back at older civilizations, not to escape the present, but to understand it differently. The Medici family become influential during this time. Their power is financial, but also cultural. They support artists and thinkers. That support changes everything. Artists are given something rare: time. Time to observe, time to refine, time to fail and continue. Most creation during this period is slow. Nothing is rushed. Even progress takes patience. Ideas begin to spread between cities, not instantly, but steadily. A quiet foundation is forming. No one calls it the Renaissance yet. Pause. Ancient texts from Greece and Rome are rediscovered, not as relics, but as tools for thinking. Scholars begin translating older works, carefully, line by line. Latin remains important in education. It is used across regions for consistency. Learning becomes slightly more structured. Universities expand their influence. Human-centered thinking begins to grow. Later called humanism, the focus shifts slightly toward individuals, not away from tradition, but alongside it. Books are still rare objects. Most are copied by hand, slowly. Errors in copying cannot be easily corrected. Each version carries small differences. This makes written knowledge fragile, but also valuable. Then reproduction begins to change. Johannes Gutenberg introduces movable type. Text can now be repeated more consistently. Information begins to travel further, not faster in modern terms, but more reliably. Literacy begins to grow slowly, not immediately, but steadily across time. Ideas are no longer limited to small groups. They begin to spread outward. The structure of knowledge itself begins to shift. Pause. Art becomes more focused on realism, not idealization. Observation. Perspective is studied carefully. Artists begin to understand depth. Light and shadow are treated as tools, not just effects. Oil painting becomes more common. It allows slower blending, colors become softer. Transitions more gradual. Leonardo da Vinci studies anatomy in detail, not for display, for understanding. His notebooks contain sketches, diagrams, and notes. They are dense and continuous. He moves between disciplines without separation. Art, engineering, and science overlap. Michelangelo works differently. He begins with stone and removes what does not belong. His process is slow and physical. Each movement is intentional. Large works often take years, sometimes longer. There is no expectation of speed, only completion. Portraits become more common. Individuals are recorded visually. Expression becomes subtle, not exaggerated. The goal is presence, not performance. The Mona Lisa reflects this shift. Calm expression. Controlled detail. It does not demand interpretation. It simply exists. That ambiguity holds attention quietly. Architecture also evolves. Balance becomes a guiding principle. Structures are designed with proportion in mind, not excess. Pause. Builders study symmetry more closely. Buildings begin to feel more ordered. Space is treated intentionally, not randomly filled. Filippo Brunelleschi contributes major innovations. The dome in Florence becomes a structural achievement. It solves a physical problem, not a decorative one. Engineering becomes more precise. Measurements matter more. Science begins to separate from philosophy. Slowly, not completely. Observation becomes a method. What is seen begins to matter more than assumption. Nature is studied directly. Plants, bodies, movement, light. Everything becomes data for observation. There is no rush to conclude, only to record. Pause. The Renaissance spreads beyond Italy, gradually, across Europe. Different regions interpret it differently. But the core shift remains: observation over assumption. Art and science begin to overlap more clearly. Work becomes more specialized over time. Workshops operate quietly, focused environments. Apprentices learn through repetition. Mistakes are part of learning, not separate from it. Progress is incremental, not dramatic. The pace of life remains unchanged for most people. Only ideas shift. Slowly, thought patterns evolve, without awareness of a movement. Pause. There is no clear end to the Renaissance. It fades into later periods gradually. Its influence remains in art, in architecture, in education, in scientific method. The idea of observation continues. So does refinement. The foundation becomes invisible over time, but still present. In structure, in thinking, in design, the Renaissance becomes less a period and more a way of seeing. Long pause. And now. There is nothing more to follow, no final conclusion, no ending point, only quiet continuity. You can stop listening here, or you can drift through the silence that follows.